Ladies and gentlemen, in addition to that, we also aim for today's forum to be as interactive as possible and appreciate your keen participation. For all our sessions today, we will be using a web-based application called Slido for you to pose questions to each and every one of the speakers and the moderators as well later. We are actually flashing the Slido code on the screen. You can just scan the QR code available with your phone camera. You can key in hashtag MyFutures2023 to log in. And of course, as per usual, key in your questions and submit them as and where the opportunity arises. We will address the questions during the relevant sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, one last note. As part of the LSE SEAC KRI Malaysia Futures event, we have invited early career researchers to showcase their work in the form of poster submissions encapsulating the futures of Malaysia based on their respective conception of the problems faced as a nation. We would like to invite distinguished speakers and the audience in the auditorium to attend this session at the end of tomorrow's proceedings from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. All the posters and work is also in line with the 5 themes of the forum: economic, urban, institutional, digital, and socio-economic futures. The posters, meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, are on display throughout at the foyer outside the auditorium, as you may have noticed. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and a warm welcome to Malaysia Futures 2023, a forum jointly organized by LSE Saw Swee Hock Southeast Asia Center, LSE SEAC, and Khazanah Research Institute, KRI. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the key challenges facing most nations is anticipating possible paths of social, economic, and political development. This forum brings together leading scholars and policymakers to engage in discourse regarding possible ways in which these futures can now be imagined. Now, ideally speaking, underwriting these futures ought to be the commitment for ensuring what we imagine to be various forms of the common good or a life of value, and also, of course, with a decent standard of living. However, much of the developmental discourse in our region has focused primarily on economic growth, without placing sufficient emphasis on holistic aspects. This forum thus attempts, over the next 2 days, to broaden the discourse, placing economic growth in its appropriate context as one integral part of the larger developmental puzzle. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tamina Kausji, and it's my pleasure to take us through today's proceedings. On behalf of LSE, SEAC, and KRI, we are most grateful for your presence and for lending your expertise to these essential sessions. Before we start, I would like to bring to your attention a slight change in our forum program. Due to unforeseen circumstances, Professor Dr. Robert Wade is unable to join us in person today, but will, however, be delivering his keynote address virtually from London tomorrow morning. Instead, very graciously, KRI Senior Advisor, Emeritus Professor Dr. Jomo Kwame Sundaram, will be delivering his special address today, after the opening address by Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Nur Mohamed Yakcop, Chairman of KRI. Without further ado, to begin today's proceedings, it is now my absolute pleasure to invite to the stage the Chairman of Khazanah Research Institute, Malaysia, Yang Berbahagia Tan Sri Nur Mohamed Yakcop, to deliver his opening address.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning to everyone present here today. Dr. Suraya Ismail from KRI. Thank you very much. You have brought all of us together, KRI, LSC, and led the organization of this forum. Our host from LSC, Professor Robert Wade, who will join us tomorrow, Professor Dr. Hyun Bang Shin, Professor Dr. Denny Kwa, Professor Dr. Chua Beng Huat, and Professor Dr. Koh Sin Yee. Esteemed speakers and panelists, Yang Berhormat who are present here, representatives from government agencies, academia, think tanks and NGOs, all participants who are present here, as well as attendees who are watching this forum via Zoom and Facebook. First, welcome to the Malaysia's Futures Forum. The forum is, of course, jointly organized by LSC, Siu Hock, Southeast Asia Center, and KRI. It continues the conversation of Southeast Asia futures, which was discussed at an earlier forum in London. This time at our forum, we zoom in on Malaysia. We zoom in on Malaysia to talk about our future under 5 domains: social, economic, urban, international, and digital. KRI, since its inception in 2014, has been committed to using data and rigorous research methods to inform and to support Malaysia's development journey. By applying our expertise across a range of domains, we have enriched the telling of our nation's history, improved our perception of the present, and boldly pursued and advocated visions of a more just, visions of a more prosperous Malaysian future. The emphasis of this forum on Malaysian futures is very much in keeping with KRI's DNA. And this Futures Forum is indeed timely. Malaysia is facing new and unprecedented challenges in a fast-changing world and needs to reevaluate its strategies to optimize its opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, the Malaysian story thus far is a remarkable story, however you look at it. In 1957, at independence, the nation inherited a colonial economy that was dominated by two primary commodities that shaped its economic history, as well as much of post-Merdeka politics, namely rubber and tin. Economic functions were racially defined, and the politics that developed from such a society were also racially defined. The development results, some 66 years later, have been commendable. We have today almost eradicated abject poverty and have witnessed the formation of a sizable middle class. Though we may take it for granted somewhat, this extent of upward economic and social mobility that we have seen is indeed enormous. It is quite remarkable, really, if the fragility of the political situation and the vulnerability of the economy at Merdeka in 1957 were taken into consideration. Our progress is indeed remarkable. Too many things could have gone wrong. Indeed, in 1969, the 1969 racial riot was one of the few manifestations that something indeed had gone wrong. The resulting new economic policy, NEP, represented a form of governmental intervention to ensure fair distribution of the growing economic pie. Absolute poverty, which was 49.3% in 1970, has been reduced to 5.6% in 2019. Malaysian GDP has grown significantly from 82.2 billion in 1970 to 1.5 trillion in 2021, of course in 2021 figures. A key element of this success has been the diversification of Malaysia's economy and its integration into the global trade and capital flows. We created a robust manufacturing base and incubated the rise of domestic modern service players. Ladies and gentlemen, today we face new challenges, and of course, we also have new opportunities. In the context of a fast-changing international economic environment across many domains: social, economic, urban, international, digital. The government has mobilized a range of stakeholders across society, across government, across the private sector, to launch our country into a more equitable, into a more sustainable growth path. And lessons from other national contexts, and indeed from the global pattern, is needed to inform this new strategy of ours. I'd like to say a few words on a relatively new subject: digitalization and digital futures. As Malaysia moves into a future where digital technologies become as commonplace as electricity, we need an all of society approach to ensure that these technologies benefit everyone. And that is key, that's important. Where before they were a luxury, perhaps even an afterthought in the design and implementation of systems, in the design and determination of policies and processes, now they are becoming the key enablers in our economy, in our education, and in our healthcare as well. As such, the design, and this is the point, the design of inclusive digital system, and good governance of data, which includes cybersecurity and responsible AI, are paramount in shaping a future where all of society can truly thrive. There are many pieces to this puzzle, to be sure. Indeed, there are many pieces. But allow me to highlight one: the inclusive design. The inclusive design of not just digital systems, but also the processes involved in using them. And this is important. Take, for example, small businesses. They could reduce administrative costs and improve data-driven decision-making if back-end business processes such as inventory, such as accounting, were digitalized. However, when developers design complex digital tools for large corporations with an IT budget and a highly technically skilled workforce, without taking into account the needs of the resource-strapped resource-strapped, less digitally savvy small business owners, both developers and small businesses miss out. Both developers and small businesses miss out on the full potential of digital transformation. Or take government-led initiatives to streamline registration processes for small businesses. All the paper forms are made digital, of course. All the paper forms are made digital. But the final step in the process, be it stamping, be it identification, verification, requires a physical step, requires a physical trip to the relevant department, where there have been misunderstandings about what forms need to be printed and what can be accessed directly from the computers at the office. And this is the point. Poor user experiences make the process of digital transformation more difficult, harder than it needs to be. What is needed to make mass digital transformation a success is less high-tech big data analysis. Although, of course, there's a place for that too in the scheme of things. But what is needed is more people-oriented design. People-oriented design. Designing systems that put people at the center, people in the front and center. Stress testing them before deployment. And having the ability and the agility, if you will, to adjust and to improve according to feedback loops that are all part of a truly inclusive digital future. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let me thank one and all who have made this Malaysia Futures Forum possible. And with the range of topics in this forum and the assembly of diverse and very distinguished stakeholders in this room now, today, I'm confident that the Malaysia Futures Forum will contribute very significantly in the shaping of our national conversation on growth and on development. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tan Sri, for your opening address and, of course, setting the stage so well for today's forum.